Hello, BookTube. I have a mail haul for you. Mail haul number 17, I believe, for 2017. It's not very big. It's a cold, spitting rain afternoon here in Boston. Uh, I was tempted. I was tempted at first to say not that it's not very big, but rather that it's the biggest book haul that's ever been done on this channel. Period. And then unpack 5 or 6 packages and just leave it at that. But it's the largest book haul that we've ever seen, simply because I say it is. uh, but only a loser would do something like that. so I'll just go through them as we have here. Sorry for the lighting, and also for the sounding, for the sound. I believe that I am getting sick. There's that horrible moment when you start to realize that the sniffling may not be dust or an allergy flare-up, that it might have a life of its own. That's a horrible feeling. That's a horrible moment. But we'll see. Maybe not. Or maybe it'll be slight. So let's see here. Number one, first thing is, oh God, help us. It's poetry. It's a slim volume of poetry. So this comes out in late February. This is Whereas by Stephen Dunn. What do we got for lighting here? Can we get this to focus any? Oh, there we go. Who won the Pulitzer Prize for his poetry. And he's the author of 18 poetry collections. He received the Pulitzer Prize for Different Hours. And he lives in Frostburg, Maryland. For those of you familiar with Maryland will have to tell me about Frostburg. And I imagine that a lot of his poems have appeared in the New Yorker, right? Doesn't it? He seems to me to be a fairly New Yorker type poet. I wonder if I could find one short enough to read. Not a poetry channel, but I wonder if I can find one that won't take forever to read. Well, how about this? The Invisible Man Blues. If I were invisible, I might want to inhabit the privacies of certain rooms, hang around before the bank closed, linger in a shower stall until you disrobed. I could easily leave any scene unseen. But where to go? And would you dare join me, become my conspicuous one? I'd be the slippery criminal, you the accomplice they'd catch with the goods. A song might begin, sad, unmelodious, ours. It would say how unfair the world could be to those who couldn't hide. It would say how lonely things can be for those who can't be seen. I'd no doubt start to see the invisible everywhere, walking the streets, sitting with others at meetings and meals, spoken through, around, not to. The song takes on grit, hurts the both of us, but with luck I think I'll forever hear it, evidence of a privilege I'd no longer want. Well, okay. Utter crap, and that confirmed sort of my suspicion that perhaps I should perhaps contemporary poetry and I are not made for each other. Lost its way 5 different times. Poet will I guarantee if you ask the poet would say, no, it's all one. It all hangs together. It's not that I chased bright shiny objects like a newborn kitten in the same poem. It's that I intended it to be that way, because it's the best poem ever. Period. Let's just move on, shall we? What is this? Oh, all right. This is a novel in translation. This is The Kingdom by Emmanuel Carrere, who's the author of Limonov, which I liked. And it's translated by John Lambert. And what's it going to tell me about itself? Sweeping fictional novel of the early Christians, whose unlikely beliefs conquered the world. Gripped by the tale of a Messiah whose blood we drink and body we eat, the genre-defying author Emmanuel Carrere revisits the story of the early church in his latest work. With an idiosyncratic and at times iconoclastic take on the charms and foibles of the church fathers, Carrere ferries readers through his doors into the biblical narrative. Once inside, he follows the ragtag group of early Christians through the tumultuous days of the faith's founding. Okay. Shouldering biblical scholarship like a camcorder. Oh my. Oh, really? Oh, okay. He recreates the climate of the New Testament with the acumen of a seasoned storyteller, intertwining his own account of reckoning with the central tenets of the faith with the lives of the first Christians. Carrere puts himself in the shoes of St. Paul, and above all St. Luke, charting Luke's encounter with the marginal Jewish sect that eventually became Christianity, and tracing his investigation of its founder, an obscure religious freak who died under notorious circumstances. Okay. All right. This was originally written in 2014, and it comes out... When does this come out? Early March. The Kingdom. Okay. All right. That could be tricky. Limonov wouldn't be tricky in this same way. That could be tricky. I have often found, paradoxically, that the historical novels that I like most are the ones about which I know the least in terms of subject matter. And I know quite a lot about early Christianity in quite a lot of languages. So I guess that will either please me about the book or and its inventiveness, or it won't. I will report back. Let's see here. I have read other novels on early Christianity, and they have one thing in common: they are invariably, as I've read them, they're invariably less interesting than the story itself, than the nonfiction story itself. Now, you might think that I would say that, but in this case, I really do mean it. I really urge you all to read something about early Christianity, even if you're not a Christian. It's an utterly amazing story, how this ideology took over the world and is still in control of the world. It's anyway, let's move on. And this is the print copy of something we've seen on this channel before, The Trial of Adolf Hitler. This is about the beer hall push and his arrest. In February 26, 1924, was the first day of the greatly anticipated high treason trial that would galvanize Germany. But few in the courtroom that morning anticipated that leading defendant Erich Ludendorff, whose risky offensives during World War I doomed Germany to defeat, would soon be eclipsed by the private first class at his side, Adolf Hitler. Hitler was charged with treason, but after unsuccessfully trying to seize power in the notorious beer hall push in Munich in 1923. Before the trial, Hitler was only a minor, if ambitious, local party leader, yet once the proceedings began, his days of relative obscurity were over. And this author lives in Lexington, Kentucky, and the book comes out in June. I will certainly be reviewing it, no idea for whom, but there we go, the Trial of Adolf Hitler. And then we'll move on here. This is our penultimate package. Oh my, okay. All right, I did not request this. This is interesting, though. This is This Close to Happy, A Reckoning with Depression by Daphne Merkin, who's written everywhere and is an extremely experienced writer. Let's see here. Despair is always described as dull, writes Daphne Merkin, when the truth is that despair has a light all its own, a lunar glow, the color of mottled silver. This Close to Happy, Merkin's rare, vividly personal account of what it feels like to suffer from clinical depression, captures this strange light. Daphne Merkin has been hospitalized 3 times, first in grade school for childhood depression, years later after her daughter was born for severe postpartum depression, and later still after her mother died for obsessive suicidal thinking. Recounting this series of hospitalizations, as well as her visits to myriad therapists and psychopharmacologists, Merkin fearlessly offers what the child psychiatrist Harold Koplowitz calls the inside view of navigating a chronic psychiatric illness to a realistic outcome. In this dark yet vital memoir, Merkin describes not only the harrowing sorrow that she has known all her life, but also her early redemptive love of reading and gradual emergence as a writer. Written with an acute understanding of the ways in which her condition has evolved as well as affected those around her, This Close to Happy is an utterly candid coming to terms with an illness that many share but few talk about. Interesting. Oh, that is interesting. Uh, I've had a long journey of discovery with clinical depression myself. Of course, don't experience it, but I started out, as a lot of people do who don't experience. I started out years and years ago thinking it was simply unhappiness, bad mood. Started out sort of contemptuously thinking of the people who suffer from it. Well, get over it. Can't you go for a walk? Can't you make yourself feel happy? That sort of thing. This comes out in early February. And then gradually, my mind frame changed as I saw people that I knew, including the father of a close friend of mine, who was of an age, certainly, to not be, it wasn't part of the coddling generation, the self-coddling generation, at all. And his life was derailed by this affliction. And you could see it in real time. There was absolutely, seeing that example and examples like it, there was absolutely no way anymore that I could say, these people are in some kind of control over what's happening to them. No, I seeing that example and other examples like it, I finally realized what people had been saying and writing all along. I looked at it and said, no, that's an illness. That's the same thing as a heart attack. That person has no control over what's happening to him. And it's bad what's happening to him. He'd like it not to happen. And then I've done an extensive amount of reading. I'm starting to think, the more I read about it, one of the reasons why I was so impatient about it at the beginning is something that is still true and that drives me nuts, which is the rampant extent to which it is overdiagnosed. It really is, people really do every day, thousands of people in America get diagnoses from doctors who ought to know better of clinical depression when they really are just feeling sad. They're not actually suffering from anything. They're just not happy all the time, and they're given medication to make them feel simulated happiness all the time. It's very bad for them, and it's very bad, as I've said on this channel a couple of times before, the people who are really hurt by that the most are the people who do suffer from a disease, from the disease of clinical depression, because, the press and the public, the unthinking members of whom I once was, can look at those people and say, well, there's nothing wrong with them, so there's nothing wrong with you. But now there's a wide dividing line between crybabies who get wrongly diagnosed by medication dispensing quacks and people who actually do suffer from clinical depression. And the more I think about it as time goes on, the more I think about those people, the more I think that in addition to being unlucky, they are also heroic. Imagine suffering, for instance, heart disease. Imagine a heart attack wasn't an accepted thing in the general public. Imagine that it wasn't, and you had one, and people said, "Well, can't you get up off the floor? Stop screaming." It must be so much. It must add so much worse to having clinical depression. To even when you're not under a cloud, to realize how few people understand it, and therefore how little chance there is that it's a. I think it's a fascinating subject. I have heard it described from people who suffer from it. And it sounds like a nightmare. You're not able to help yourself. You're not able to do anything. You know what's happening to you. But it's so clearly biochemical. I don't know why I didn't see it at the beginning. You know what's happening to you, but you can't do anything about it. That is the hallmark of something that's biochemical. That's not, in other words, under your control. And Daphne Merkin's a talented writer, so this comes out in early February. I'm wondering if this might not be an important book. I mean, a genuinely important book. I think I will read it first and see. Anyway, sorry for the long digression. Here's the last package that I'm going to slurp off into the sunset. What have we got here? This is pleasingly heavy, so it could be history. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. This is the finished copy. This also comes out in early February. This is the finished copy of Caught in the Revolution by Helen Rappaport. You can't see it in this light, but they put gold gilding on it that makes it look just lovely all over. This is an absolutely fantastic book. Let me read you here. I'm dripping all over myself here. This February marks the start of the Russian Revolution's 100th anniversary. Often the revolution is told through the lens of politics, focusing on the positions of power. But in Caught in the Revolution, the tells us the other side of the story, bringing the ordinary, everyday people caught in the middle of all the turmoil into the limelight. The author takes readers down the Nevsky Prospect, the main street in Petrograd, where the revolution was unfolding, and draws upon a rich trove of previously unpublished material, including letters and diaries of eyewitnesses, to carry readers right up to the action, to see, feel, and hear the revolution. And it's incredible. The book has a long cast of characters at the back, and we really do follow them as this thing erupts and envelops their lives, and it's just an amazing work. I'm so happy to have a finished copy. That's great. So we have that's it. That's the biggest book haul on this channel in its history, period. And if you say otherwise, you're just being negative. This is Caught in the Revolution, and then our requisite World War II book, The Trial of Adolf Hitler, and then This Close to Happy by Daphne Markin, The Kingdom, a historical novel about St. Luke, and Whereas by Stephen Dunn, a collection of a slim volume of modern poetry. And that is our book haul for now. No idea what's coming later today. I will try to film a video. If not, I will wait and open the rest next time. I'm gonna slurp off stage left and get some sleep. But I'll see you soon, BookTube. Thank you.